This is the Shut-Ins Talk Show on Z90.7.
Here we go!
It's time to nerd out with all the latest in the world of video games, media, and technology.
Hello and welcome to the Shut-Ins Talk Show. It's DJP. With me as always is...
Gavin the Chef Cook. What is up, Jacob? How are you doing?
Well, I was doing fine until the weather got gross again, and now I'm not doing so hot.
Yeah, I hate that.
I went out today for classes and whatnot, and I was like, oh man, it got nicer from, when it rained a lot the other day, and then even then it was sunny like an hour later. I don't know. I mean, that's just living in Indiana though. Like I mentioned that earlier. It's like we can't have nice weather for long in this state because something's always got to eventually turn the opposite way for whatever reason. I don't know. I feel like they're just throwing random weather at us to see how we deal with it. But anyways,
thanks, Indiana.
I know, right? But we're used to it at this point. But yeah, we've got some fun things to talk about as usual. Now that I think about it, I didn't really think of an order to do this. I'll be real with everyone. So we're just gonna go for it.
Yeah, jump in.
So actually, I do know. One of the biggest things that's happened in the past couple days is that the first trailer for the newest Scream movie has
I knew
come
you were
out.
gonna start off like this.
Yeah, man. So that's come out, and they've given. I think they had a release date before. I'm pretty sure, which will be coming out January 14th, 2022.
Yeah, this is the first like actual date. Before I just remember they said January 2022.
I think the date had been out for at least a little bit, but like whatever. Now that the trailer's out, now we know.
Oh yeah, it had been out. I forgot because they released the first set photos. And they were like, January 15th.
Yeah, and this is the first Scream movie since Scream 4, and that came out like 10 years ago as well, or over 10 years. I don't recall exactly, but that's what people have been saying. So I would trust that they know how to count.
Yeah.
I would certainly hope so.
I'd sure hope so, too.
Yeah, so we've been watching the trailer, of course, because I know you, because I hadn't seen it yet. I saw people talking about it. Oh, yes, it says right here, Scream 4 came out in 2011, so it'll be over, or around 10 years when this comes out. Since the last new Scream movie.
Yeah, I forgot about that. I keep forgetting.
I'm sure a lot of people forget Scream 4.
Well, I keep forgetting the TV series was like. Not that I forget Scream 4. It's just I keep forgetting the TV series came out like sooner than the movie did. Of course.
Was it just called Scream, or was that Scream Queens, or is that a different thing?
No, Scream Queens is a different series.
Okay,
Scream Queens is kind of like their goal is like an all-female protagonist version of essentially American Horror Story. It's not near the same type of show.
I was gonna say that's what I thought it was.
Yeah. It's not like really the same thing. It's just an anthology similar.
Okay.
But like the stories are different. I haven't watched a lot of it, but from what I have watched, it looks good. Mm-hmm. So I'll have to give it a try sometime.
Yeah. So in the trailer at the beginning, it does something that I wasn't expecting, but I very much like, where they kind of do a more modern version of the beginning of the first movie, where it shows a young girl in a house by herself, and she's talking with somebody, and then it turns out that the somebody that she's talking to is not that person; it's actually Ghostface. And then they start freaking out because they're being messed with, and they think it's a joke. And then he somehow gets into the house and is going in and out of it, messing with her. And then eventually starts violently attacking her. And that's what they do in the beginning of this trailer, but they do it in a more modern way, where she's texting somebody, and then all of a sudden the girl she's texting makes mention of like, oh, you should answer the phone.
Yeah.
And she's like, how'd you know my phone was ringing? And then she's like, Amber? And she's like, and then the text just comes through and says, this is not Amber. And then he somehow gets control of like her like smart locks in her house. So then so she keeps locking the doors with her phone, and they keep being unlocked. So it's like it sounds like, I feel like on paper, if you had told me that like before, like, oh yeah, it's like the kind of like how the first Scream started out, but it's like more modern, like messing with the house locks. I probably would have told you like just in like theory, it would have been like, I don't know about that, but this is done very well. Yeah. Like this is exactly how I think. This is exactly how a modern. Like, if this was the first Scream movie, this is exactly how it would make sense. Yeah. Like, that's a fantastic way to mess with that.
That's what I love about it. So, when they first announced this movie, their plan was to 100% rebrand the whole series, you know?
Right,
like,
which is why they're calling it just Scream, not Scream 5.
So,
because while there is...
The next one wouldn't be Scream 2 either. Like, the directors, Matt Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillett, I don't know if you ever saw the movie Ready or Not.
I have not.
Very good movie. They're the duo that is directing it.
Gotcha.
And which they're also like awesome directors, but they like specifically said like we want to keep it going. You know, obviously if this movie doesn't do the greatest, we'll probably just cut it there because we haven't wrote a whole lot yet. We just want to. Their whole point is they want to give as much love to Wes Craven as they can,
Of course.
which, as they should. You know, like
absolutely.
because but at the end of the day, they're like, but we want to try something new.
Right.
So they're like, this first one, we want to pay homage to him, go as modern as we can based on like what he did with the franchise.
Right.
Which
and that's right. And that's what they're saying. Like what you said. Like it's not fully new. Like there are new characters, yes, but the big thing about this is that they have a lot of the original cast, or a fair amount of like the main original cast from the first one. Because then right after that scene plays out of, paying homage to the opening scene of the original Scream, it then cuts to Sidney Prescott herself, Neve Campbell, and she gets a call, and it's from Dewey, the sheriff, and the first thing he says is, "It's happening again," and then it says, "Do I have a gun?" And she says, "I'm Sidney Prescott, of course I have a gun."
Yeah.
And that is awesome.
one of the sickest lines in movie history.
Honestly, I'm glad because like this is something that was also done with the newest Halloween movie, where they have the original like main character, or in this case the final girl, from like two different series, and they've survived through all the movies in some way, shape, or form, and now now it's like decades later, and they're older and still around, and they're fed up.
Yeah.
Sidney Prescott is over it, and I
think
love
now,
it.
not counting Laurie Strode, since they kind of retconned every Halloween movie in existence.
That
with the
happens a lot.
new trilogy that they're making. So not counting Laurie Strode, I think that Sidney Prescott is the only living final girl out of any franchise ever.
I think, and then then there's some other ones like like Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street didn't really have that consistent of
They
characters.
had Nancy, but after the third movie, they're like, kill her.
Yeah, exactly. And
But
I don't
then
think
Friday the 13th, they just kill off everyone.
exactly. Yeah, so like not a lot of series has that, or at least like there's a lot of horror movies have that, but not a lot of series have that, which is what makes this even cooler. And because as well, Courtney Cox as well reprising her role.
Well, the fact that all three of them are like really like the main three that are have been in every movie, that's the impressive part.
Yes.
Because, like, think about it. Yeah, you'll have your final girl that appears here and there. Like, even in the Final Destination movies, the first two movies, you had, I forgot her name in the movie.
I've not seen them. I'm not gonna know.
But she lived through the first one, and so in the second one, she's there and whatnot. But no one else is, and that's just like the same with every horror franchise. Is like you may have the one final girl that goes on for more movies, but there's never ever been three characters that have been there.
Right,
the whole
exactly.
Time.
That's something really only with Scream. They also continuing on in the trailer. Because then they make mention like, oh, this version of Ghostface, whoever it may be, is targeting people related to the original victims.
Yeah.
So
and Dewey said this time it feels different.
Yeah, because like they're like, oh, it's back, it's the same as last time, but he's saying that something about it is different.
Yeah, which I hope it is.
Yeah, I would hope so. I'm very curious though as well to see just how it's different. Because then Sidney Prescott is going to one of the younger cast members in this, and she goes up to her and she goes, and she stops her and goes, I know who you are. Because everybody in this world knows who Sidney Prescott is, because every time Ghostface comes around, she's involved somehow.
Yeah.
Which is cool too.
It's Ghostface's fault because he hunts her down.
Yes.
So, which is crazy because for something that started off intended to be basically a spoof or parody of sorts to horror films, has become such this like massive thing.
Exactly.
And it's so impressive to me because I love that aspect of Scream.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, because like Wes Craven made actual horror movies. Then he made Scream as like a spoof, but he also is good at making good horror movies.
Yeah.
So without even trying, I feel at that point he was just able to make something that was making fun of his own work and other horror work, but it's still good in and of itself.
Yeah.
And for it to
because it had like it was a spoof and a parody in some ways, but at the same time, like he made a good horror film that did something different than any other horror film did.
And then it was able to continue.
It was self-aware.
Exactly. And they continued for 10 years, and now we had a 10-year break, and now it's back. Yeah. And looking very promising.
So for this will be 20 years of Scream in which it works. Because people say what they will about Scream 4. I feel like it worked.
I feel like Scream 3 is the biggest meh.
The biggest meh is Scream 3, which even then it's not the worst thing that's ever happened. It's just too predictable for a Scream movie.
Yeah.
But I thought it was awesome how they not only is this true to the original in like the format of the opening sequence that we see in the trailer, it's true to the original being Jenna Ortega, which is one of the biggest teen actresses right now. She basically is Drew Barrymore right now in this movie. You know, a face that everyone recognizes and knows. And from the looks of the trailer, you know, like, who knows what's actually going to happen in the movie, but from the looks of the trailer, she gets killed off first.
Right, exactly.
In which, you know, everyone kind of expects that from a Scream movie, but at the same time, it's almost jarring still to this day thinking that. Because, like, you know, back then, like, Drew Barrymore is a very well-known name right now.
Yes.
But also, she was even, like, bigger then, I guess, because she was showing up in everything, whether it was an Adam Sandler movie, other horror movies, who knows, but the fact that they killed off one of the biggest stars from back then was crazy. And the fact that they did it again, it was jarring because, you know, the second movie wasn't going to do the same thing as the first. The third movie did whatever, was predictable, but still didn't do the same thing. And then the fourth movie, the opening sequence for that was even crazier because it starts off and they're watching they're watching the, you know, the Stab franchise that builds from the actual Woodsboro murders.
It's Scream in Scream.
Yeah, so they're watching that, and it has, what's her name? Hayden Panettiere. She was in Hero. I don't remember if I got it right.
I know who you're talking about, yes.
Yeah, sorry if I don't pronounce the name right. English is hard, but...
I don't think their last name's English, so I think you're fine.
You know what I mean. But she was in it, and everyone's like, oh, that's cool. I bet she dies. And some twisted stuff happens. She gets stabbed in the gut by Kristen Bell. She was right next to her. There were two friends watching it. And then it shows that it's a trailer for another one. And so it got super meta, but like in a way that worked, in my opinion. But once again, they decided that they wanted to really bring back this whole franchise, and I think it looks awesome.
Yeah, because then there are also times where they're doing the classic horror movie thing where they're showing you a bunch of characters, obviously none of them you know, and they're making some look more suspicious than others.
Yeah.
But
I forgot that they announced this movie before, like, the rise of the boys. And so... the TV show.
Okay, I was like, I don't know what you're referring to.
Before that show became like such a massive hit, I forgot that they announced this movie before then, and then they wouldn't just recast just to do it, because I feel like Jack Quaid is the only other big name other than, you know, the main three that people would notice right off the bat.
Right.
And so that's the only thing that made me laugh a little bit, because I was like, oh, I forgot this was a movie that started writing and production pre-pandemic and then finished production and filming after things died down a little bit. And that made me laugh a little bit because I was like, they didn't know he was going to be a star.
Right. That's been happening a lot over the last years because, like, for example, like piggybacking off of that with New Mutants, it took so long. Like, when it was filmed, like, the people in that movie were of varying levels of fame. Yeah. But that movie took so long to come out and be finished and come out that most people in that movie had become way more famous through a bunch of other stuff before it came out.
You know, like I said, Jenna Ortega, one of the biggest teen actresses right now. I feel like one of the only like actual teen actresses that would be above Jenna Ortega is Anya Taylor-Joy.
Yes.
And she was in New Mutants. And I remember when they first like showed the casting, I was like, who's this? But then, you know, 2 years later and the movie's still not out, I had already seen The Witch,
Queen's Gambit,
Split, Glass,
exactly.
You know, movies that she was in, and I was like, oh, I really like her. And I think, you know, no disrespect to, you know, Marvel for finally putting the movie out, because I heard it was good. I feel like that has a part to do with the success of the movie.
Because everybody in it got more famous from other stuff, so they're like, oh, it's more of them. Even though it was filmed like 3 years prior to all of that.
Yeah. And also, I can't remember his name. I'm a bad person. I don't watch Stranger Things that often, but the older brother from Stranger Things.
I don't remember his real name either.
Yeah, but he was in it too.
But the guy who played Jonathan Byers. Yes.
Yeah, the guy who looks way too old to be playing a teenager, even though he is a teenager. He just looks older.
That's a fair point.
Yeah. But God bless him, though. He's a good actor.
But also, I didn't even realize this. The anniversary of the first screening of the first Scream movie happened this past weekend. It was the anniversary of that.
Oh, I saw that because Matthew Lillard went to it. I forgot.
Oh, nice.
I told you I'm a big follower of his Twitter account.
Oh, no, I am too. But yeah, also to differentiate between the original Scream and this, the new one coming out in January is being billed as Scream in all caps. So I would say it loudly because it's in all caps, but I won't do that for the sake of the audience's
Scream!
ears. Yeah, there you go.
Gotta give the little tilt.
Yeah,
Little tilt action on him.
yeah, that's
You know what I'm saying, May?
yeah, that's better. But also, they of course have on a poster for it. It does have a tagline.
It's always
Yes,
someone you know.
Exactly. So obviously we'll learn. And people did make a joke. Speaking of Matthew Lillard, someone made a joke because there's a pose. Somebody paused the trailer where Ghostface was standing, and the way he was like kind of weirdly stanced up. Someone found a clip from the live-action Scooby-Doo movies that Matthew Lillard was, of course, in, and it looks identical, like the same pose. And he responded
So the
to it.
one he does in...
Yeah. So because it was like putting it next to together, like, oh, that looks like the exact same pose. So Matthew Lillard responded to that, was just like, oh, I love this. This is great.
He
was like, oh,
literally
you
said-
figured it out.
He said, I see what you did there. Very clever.
Uh-huh.
And speaking which, before we go, because we got to wrap up in literally now, but Matthew Lillard's character is
my
not
God.
dead. He's still here.
Oh my God.
I don't care what you say. He's
You're
alive.
the only person that says that.
You're the only person he says he's not.
That's not true at all.
No, it is true.
Anyways,
Call me when you're a real horror fan, Pickett.
Okay. If he shows up in the movie, then I'll tell you you're right. But that we won't know until
If he doesn't show up in the movie,
Then I
I'm
was
not
right.
going to tell you that you were right.
Okay. Well,
Because
then,
his character could still be alive. They just haven't planned for, movie 3.
okay. You already have your whatever explaining your way out of it. Anyways, that's
Not
once
my
again.
way out of it.
Once
I
again,
just know stuff.
new Scream movie, which is Scream in all caps, January 14th, 2022. I'm very much looking forward to that. We're gonna go to break, and when we come back, we will be talking about a schedule of events that a certain company has released, and we might be getting some interesting stuff out of it, and we'll talk about that more when we come back on the Sean's Talk Show.
Damn, we're jumping into that next?
Maybe I was gonna say like, it's like, yes. Why'd you say that into the mic as I was going off?
Darn.
Because I was just gonna cut off weird. That's all I'm saying. For the radio, I was gonna. I don't know why. I was like taking it back.
I thought
that
you'd already pressed it, but then I said it and you went.
Yeah, I was.
You were hovering it.
I gotta make sure this plays first.
I'm gonna go grab my headset.
That's a good call. Da-da-da-da-da. All right.
I couldn't get it unplugged.
Veterans Talk Show on WZIS Z90.7.
Waluigi time.
And we are back with the Shut-Ins Talk Show. Gavin is plugging in his headphones for those radio and
working now.
online listeners. Yeah, there you go. I can hear you.
It's working now.
There we go. All right, I was gonna say you unplugged mine for a second, and I got a little scared. Like,
No, I
uh-oh.
didn't.
Well, something. My audio messed up.
Something
for a second.
happened.
All that matters is that we can hear each other and everything is fine and working, right? Yes, everything's
Yes.
working. Anyways, like I alluded to, certain company having some plans laid out. That would be Disney and Star Wars specifically, where they've announced what they're referring to as "Bring Home the Bounty," where it's said to be like every week leading up to the end of the year. It's announcing new
Starting
product-
this week, by the way.
Yeah, starting this week. The first one's already been that's been announced, which you can check out. But it's going to be like talking about Star Wars products, is what it says. So it says here it's a campaign, and it's debuting new Star Wars toys, collectibles, books, apparel, and more throughout the year. And so they have this little calendar set up on the Star Wars website that has the dates at the beginning of each week, which is 12 in total.
Yeah, so
And going through, and they all have little pictures of certain characters or something.
all right, before we, talk about the most obvious picture that stands out, or the obvious two, because I know exactly what the other one was that you were talking about
Yes.
earlier today. Could week 4, November 2nd, be an Ahsoka update since it's a picture of Ahsoka?
Well, see, I was about to run through and
Oh.
real quick and
That's
be
on
like
me.
what we're talking about. So the first one, let's see, that's the thing, because at first I was like, oh, if they have pictures assigned of characters to every week, maybe it'll be pertinent to that. But maybe the first week's just it's either a hoodwink or it's just whatever. Because I mean, I guess it makes sense because the things they released, like the merchandise and whatnot, because that's all they and it's like action figures and stuff. It's kind of all just all over the place.
Yeah, I was gonna say
because the picture for this week is a stormtrooper. Then the next week is the Mandalorian, and then after that is Bo-Katan. I believe that's her helmet. Then Ahsoka, then Captain Rex, then Grogu, then a Tusken Raider, which is one of the more interesting ones.
Yeah. I was gonna say like, how many Mandalorian things could they announce? Because most of the characters are characters we've seen in the Mandalorian or are related to the Mandalorian. Because like the first week alone has Mando's helmet,
right?
And then
Bo-Katan and Ahsoka. That's the thing. Like, if this is just like they just chose random stuff to put on there, then I'll try not to get my hopes up.
Most of it.
Yeah, I'll try not to get my hopes up, too high about like if there will be things. But them having Ahsoka there does make me kind of hope that for that week, which would be in 3 weeks from now, they would give us some Ahsoka news because. As of now, we know nothing about it still.
We know it's happening. We just don't know like when
but I also,
or
the more
any
I
more
think,
updates on it.
Yeah, and the more I think about it, the more I'm thinking I would be surprised if they showed anything major because Disney Plus Day is next month, and I feel like they would talk about all that stuff.
Oh yeah, I don't expect them to like give us a trailer or anything.
Right, I don't think
I just meant
big,
like an update.
Right,
like, have
that's
they started filming?
Yeah, I would think that's like the bare minimum they would do, and then going through the other weeks, there's a Captain Rex one, a Grogu one, the Tusken Raider one. Then there's a Gonk droid, but it's wrapped up like a present.
Love that.
So I'm sure that will probably be.
It's not Christmas, but whatever.
Well, I was gonna say it's on the week of November 30th, so it's like. It would be the beginning of December, so I wouldn't be surprised that's Christmas
Doesn't
stuff.
count.
Then the week after that is specifically the 50th anniversary of Lucasfilm, so I wouldn't be surprised if that was a lot more like legacy celebrating stuff like that. And then one of the main ones that has got us talking about this is that the week after that, week 10, the week of December 14th, it has just a generic video game controller on it. And as of now, outside of the next Lego Star Wars game, I don't think there's been any like official word on like a Star Wars video game outside of that like arena thing, which you still haven't seen footage of.
Yeah.
That's like the only thing I can think of.
But
Those two games aren't out yet that they would talk about.
But there is the Ubisoft game that was confirmed.
That too, but I still feel like that was earlier this year, and that's very early if they were to say anything. I guess there's 3 things that aren't out yet that we know of.
Yeah, because I feel like we've seen enough of the Skywalker saga video game for Lego Star Wars,
right?
That we don't need anything more. Like we've gotten gameplay, we've gotten trailers.
I was gonna say we do need more, and that's an official release date.
Well, that's what I mean. Is like we don't need any more hype on it. We just need the game. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know they'll probably have another trailer because that's just how things work. But I mean, when it comes to us. Like I was gonna buy that game before I saw anything anyway.
Yeah,
because
it's Lego Star Wars.
I was gonna say Lego has yet to let me down on a game. There's just sometimes things don't age well control wise, but that's whatever. But yeah, so that's what we're really curious about because, there's just not a lot of things that we know of to go off of from that. Because that arena game, there's been only like CG trailers. You don't know any gameplay.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and just
predict
predict that it's gonna be a gameplay trailer for that. Fingers crossed that it's something huge that we haven't heard of yet that is coming sooner.
Yeah.
Because
well, I mean, to be fair, like it's not just gonna be one. From what the precedent they're setting with the stuff this week, because they started this yesterday, is that they show multiple things. Because like yesterday they showed multiple like merchandise things.
Yeah. One of them maybe it's like all video game updates, which would be awesome.
That's what I would think, since that's because everything else is something Star Wars or Lucasfilm specific, except that one. That one stands out completely. Yeah. So yeah, I would say of the 3 things we listed, that Ubisoft game that we know is going to be made, or then actually no, there's 4 things that we know about. The Knights of the Old Republic full-on remake, but that hasn't even started like full-on production. It was just announced.
That's just announced that it's coming.
Yeah, so that I highly doubt it'll be that. As cool as that would be, I highly doubt it.
Yeah, agreed.
But yeah, so those are the 4 games we know are going to be made, and only one of them we have any like footage of and have a loose release date, and that's Lego Star Wars.
Yeah.
So I'm very curious about this. And sure enough, it's on December 14th that week. I don't even know if we might be off campus by then. I don't actually know.
I think the 9th is our last day.
Yeah, so we won't be here to talk about it on Shut-Ins that week.
But we'll keep you updated.
I was saying when we come back, I mean, we'll do the break retrospective like we tend to do.
Yeah, a little little recap.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean, the more I'm thinking about it, the more I'm like, I'm trying not to think about it because
Yeah, that's what
I
I've
keep
been
getting
forcing
myself
to do that. Like I'm
Yeah.
sitting here and I'm like, all
'Cause I
right, don't
keep-
get your hopes up
I was
because you
gonna
already
say-
mentioned the Ubisoft game,
right exactly.
and we don't know if that's going to be
I'll
coming
say
even in
my
the next
Dark
5
Horse.
years.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Also Ubisoft's been real hit or miss with more misses in the past few years. So.
Unfortunately, Assassin's Creed's the only hit right now.
Yeah, and even some of those over the years have been hit and miss themselves. But Dark Horse that I know will never happen. I won't say impossible, but it's a very, very, very less than zero chance of Star Wars 1313 being revived from the dead. I want that game to exist one day, and I remember there was rumors that one of there was a person, she was one of the like lead creators or something involved with it.
Yeah.
And it was said that she was in talks with like some Lucasfilm or Star. Well, they hadn't brought back like Lucasfilm Studios or like the video game studios yet, but she was in talk with some Star Wars related or from Disney related stuff at one point, and that was like 3-4 years ago, and nothing's come of it. So I assume that
remember
nothing
that.
happened. Yeah,
I hope it's like,
but
more than
that's
anything, I hope it's like an update on everything and then maybe one big announcement. I prefer that than them just
see. That's the thing.
announce
Like,
something that we already know.
that's the thing. I'm trying not to get like hopes too high because if anything, if yesterday what they've shown for this week's anything to go off of, it's very simple. But that might not be every week since they've gone through, doing this and they have the and more.
Yeah.
That's what gets everybody thinking
Yeah.
with that stuff because it says every Tuesday from now. Yeah, it's every Tuesday, by the way, is what it is. So every Tuesday from now through December 28th, you can expect reveals of new items inspired by everything from the Book of Boba Fett and The Mandalorian to classics like the Skywalker Saga films, animated series like Bad Batch and Visions, and much more. So they keep
Sick.
saying much more in all of these, and like this week has been simple things. There's some Star Wars Mandalorian inspired Crocs. There's some I know. There's some Ahsoka, Grogu, and Mandalorian inspired sunglasses. There's some Funko Pops of some Rogue One characters. The best thing out of this they've shown is that they have retro Kenner figures of the Mandalorian and then Boba Fett in the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
And those are fantastic that they've been making those. And
I
then,
love
and
the
then there's a
retro
bomb.
figures. They've been doing that since Mandalorian came out, though.
Yeah, they did that for a lot of the newer stuff, which I really enjoy.
Which makes me happy because I like retro action figures since they don't really be making action figures that much anymore to begin with.
Well, I think they do. It's just we're not the target demographic anymore.
Well, I just meant like they just don't really be making them like they used to.
Right, and then they have a Lucasfilm bomber jacket, which is just has the 50th anniversary logo on the back. But yeah, it says specifically they say each Tuesday, 6 a.m. Pacific time, 9 a.m. Eastern time.
I see. So they're just copying Amazon.
But so they'll be talking about.
I forgot you don't know about that.
And yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
They do the seventh day of every month. They've been doing a little fake news update from Vought, the company from the show The Boys.
Oh,
And it's called 7 on 7 about the 7.
Gotcha.
And every 7th day of every month they're going to be doing it until the show comes out, and then the anchorman from the news channel is also going to be in the show.
Gotcha. So yeah, they're
That's
not going. I was gonna say, Star Wars Lucasfilm's not going that in depth with this, but still, like at the very least, it'll be some fun things that they're throwing out there and releasing, which is cool. But yeah, like stuff like this really gets everybody's head spinning because I mean that they know what they're doing by saying the and more and saying it multiple times too.
Yeah,
because that's what's got us talking about it. Because the first what you sent me earlier.
Oh yeah, because if this was just like a normal like merch drops, I would have been like, hey, look at how weird this is.
I was gonna say because you sent me a tweet that you'd found talking about it where you'd say like, oh, possibility of some Star Wars video game news. I'm like, well, that's gonna get me curious. And then you were like, oh, how Disney's doing is pretty cool. So I went and like read through it more and found this, which got us talking about it today. So it's worked.
I think it is a cool way to do it. Because like the last day being lightsabers, what if it's like lightsaber day?
We didn't even talk about the last 2 weeks being the second to last one is Boba Fett's helmets, which makes sense because...
How do you know it's not Jango's?
Because there's a dent in it.
I thought that was just a shiny spot.
Oh no, that's the Boba Fett dent, man. But that makes sense
Harvey
because
Dent.
at the end of that week, or no, sorry, that makes sense because then the first day of the last week, which will be the week after the Boba Fett themed one or possibly themed one, is when the Book of Boba Fett comes out. Or the day before it comes out on December 29th.
I was say they're not doing Tuesday drops on the old D+.
Oh, yeah, no, everything's on Wednesdays now.
Wednesdays or Fridays.
Well, everything's Wednesday now. They announced that.
Don't contradict me.
I'm just telling. I'm giving you the facts, man. Dang.
Okay, whatever, man. Just
right,
know that when National Lightsaber Day comes, you're getting cut in half, mall style.
I was gonna say it's a never mind. But there's. I was gonna say it's lightsaber week technically. If you're going, yes, wow. I was say technically lightsaber week since last week. We had that last one. As a quick thing before we go to break, I want to say that them having the lightsabers like that is alluding more towards the High Republic.
Well, yeah, because those are like old school style lightsabers.
Well, one of them kind of looks like Mace Windu's, but the other one is like how a lot of them look that they've shown for the High Republic stuff, which is like the newest Star Wars stuff that they've been doing over the last year. And even
some of the Visions ones looked like that.
That as well.
The ones that weren't samurai swords.
Exactly.
So cool.
Yeah, but they that can mean anything. It could be lightsaber specific. It could be Force lightsaber user specific.
Force Unleashed remaster.
I highly doubt that would ever happen. I just want a third one, but I've gotten other good Star Wars games since then.
I just want more Sam Witwer in anything.
That's true. I mean, look, that dude's embedded in Star Wars, so he'll always be doing stuff.
He's just never put his face in it, though. I want him to do something live action, because the only thing face-wise he's done was Force Unleashed, and they made not canon.
Yeah, and then they made that non-canon.
Because if it was still canon, they would have already had some form of show or movie about it.
I feel like at this point they can insert him somewhere.
Yeah, they could. They had to make him not canon because of how crazy he was. I couldn't find the word.
Well, no, the reason
he killed Luke Skywalker.
That part was not canon in the game, though. Anyway, look, I can talk about. Originally it wasn't. Anyway, I can talk about Force Unleashed all day, so as to not waste everybody's time randomly ranting about basically my favorite game ever. We're going to go to break, and when we come back, we have got some new casting for a Marvel movie, and the story of how it was actually told to the masses is pretty interesting, and we'll talk about that when we come back on the Shun's Talk Show.
Yeah.
I can't imagine how it sounds on air with you keep doing stuff that gets cut off.
Why you press the button so slow?
I gotta make sure that this starts, and then I gotta turn this on. This is gonna be you soon enough.
Yeah, I will do it properly.
Also, I gotta remind you, when I turn that off, I can't hear you as well, because I can't hear you.
No, I know. That's why I take one ear off. The headset. I like how the picture they used on Collider for Will Poulter's thing.
He looks so annoyed.
Well, it's the picture of him from Midsummer.
Mm-hmm. Midsommar.
And then they just have the random picture of him from Bandersnatch.
Oh, great.
I love that. I love how he looks in Bandersnatch, though, because he has never looked like that in any movie he's played in.
I still love that somebody was like, "Oh yeah, he's in it," and someone just Googled "dude with the eyebrows," and it's probably Photoshop, but like he shows up. Oh, I should have done this. I should have switched things around so this happened. Whatever, we just talked about it.
We still talk about
WZIS.
Lorian.
Welcome back to the Shut-Ins Talk Show. So, the other day, Gavin, we were both aware, you had sent me a video on TikTok that was talking about some rumors.
Yeah.
So he said, and the guy himself had said that these were not the most reliable of sources.
Speaking of which, I like that guy. I don't have his name right now to plug him for you guys to look him up, but he always he always talks about like rumors. So he's basically shut-ins if it were rumors based. But his thing is he always says, this is a rumor. I'm not saying it's real, but he's like, this is the rumor that we heard, and this is how it could be real, or this is how I believe that it's fake.
Right. So he had said that there was a supposed casting for the upcoming, or I say upcoming, not for a while, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and that wasn't just a general casting, it was
a big casting.
It was a big and specific one for the character Adam Warlock, which was kind of teased in one of the after credit scenes of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, which everybody assumes to be, at the time, or for the last few years since the movie came out, be Adam Warlock, who is a major player in the Marvel Comics for a variety of reasons.
He's had so many different recreations.
Yeah, that's why a lot of people thought he would show up in Infinity War and Endgame, because he had a part to play in those stories in the comics. But it was being said...
I'm glad he didn't, though, because, like... I did, you know me, I'm a big comics guy. I did more research on it, and he always starts off as a villain. Like
Really?
he always starts off doing something like wrong or trying to hurt the hero, but then has a change of heart and ends up getting redeemed.
Right, but it had said that Will Poulter would be the one casted for him, and again, those were unfounded rumors at the time. And then James Gunn himself, I don't know if I can find the tweet. I should have done that before.
I got it right here.
Yeah, he had said something along the lines of, "You guys know how I deal with fake news and like fake like things being made up about movies I make." And he's like, "You know how I deal with that stuff."
Yeah, which
So
they're
Will
starting
Poulter
filming soon.
Yeah, and then he goes, "So yeah, proud to announce that Will Poulter is casted as Adam Warlock. It was real. It was those unreliable sources that got one correct for once." So James Gunn was just like, "Screw it, I'll just announce it then. Everybody like kind of knows." So yeah, this is one of the more interesting castings that we've had in a while.
I
would
love it.
say because it's already clear because obviously the MCU has done things different from the comics since day one.
Yeah.
That's not news. But and there's been some castings here and there where people were like, "Oh, that's like different, whatever." But like because this character's kind of all over the place in the comics as well.
It really doesn't matter.
Yeah, this is still interesting, just like with what limited knowledge of Adam Warlock I know. But still, it was clear that they're gonna do something.
He's
different.
a great actor, though.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, absolutely.
I don't know what you have and have not seen him in, but like obviously my first example is going to be Midsummer because he can play just a bad person very well.
Huh.
But then you got like We're the Millers where he plays a square very well.
Here's getting paid.
Oh yeah.
Oh, come on, man.
You threw me way off.
Come on, man.
You can't do that when we're in the middle of a talk show.
You do that to me all the time. What are you talking about?
I've never done that.
Okay.
But
check
like
the
he was
tape on
also
that.
in Black Mirror Bandersnatch.
Yes.
Or however you pronounce it. I think it's just
It's
Bander.
Bandersnatch.
Okay, well I just don't want to have like a Bandersnatch or something like that I
That'd
had
be
wrong.
funny though.
But he was also in The Revenant. Didn't have a huge role, but he was awesome in that too. Oscar-winning movie.
Yeah. So yeah, he's done a lot of.
He
stuff.
can do it all.
He can go
That's
all
the
over the
essentials
place,
of it,
right?
yeah.
And that's why makes it very interesting about this casting. Because like we said, the character itself is all over the place in the comics, and it's obviously clear that with the Sovereign, the Golden People, and Guardians 2. For those who may not remember, I forgot their name until I saw a video yesterday as well. Because they just kind of show up, get wrecked, and then they're not there until the after credit scene. But with that, like you had said, most of the time in the comics he starts off as a villain and then helps the heroes.
And,
it seems very clear that it seems if we're going off of that one after credit scene, that's probably what will happen because the Sovereign are still annoyed at the Guardians and other people in the galaxy, and they said like, "Oh, we have
she
this
literally
new creation."
starts and says that my child is the next step in our evolution. More powerful, more beautiful, more capable of destroying the Guardians of the Galaxy, and his name is Adam.
Yeah, so it's clear that it's like at least from the beginning. I don't know if it'll be
I
the
want
whole movie.
Aisha to come back for that.
I don't know like
Maybe.
I don't know if he'll be the villain the whole time, but I would not be surprised if he was.
I don't think he'll be the main villain, but
I don't think so.
he's definitely
either.
going to give him a hassle.
Yeah, I think it'll be one of those things where he's giving them issues.
He's going to have
at
a
least the first
Terminator
half.
story arc.
All in one movie though.
Yeah, comes in to destroy, ends up being nice, and gets along with the kidly one, which is probably going to be Teen Group.
That's another thing too. I don't know, I don't know how his species ages because he went from. It seems like it wasn't too big of a jump between him being little Sprout and teen. So who knows what he'll be.
Well,
because also we don't know anything about this movie.
Say, also,
because it's not coming out for like another 2 years.
Yeah, but I was also going to say like Guardians 1 and 2, timeline wise, take place like back to back essentially.
Right. I didn't actually know
with
that
just
until you
barely
told me.
any time for Groot to have grown much.
Mm-hmm.
So there could have been a bigger jump between 2 and when we first see him in Infinity War.
Right, because I didn't know about that, so you told me that, and then I realized that with how those two movies go, you could put a little or a big jump in between. It really doesn't matter.
Yeah. Plus, when he got brought back in Endgame, was he still Teen Groot?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know if he was Teen Groot or if he just came as Big Groot because I didn't think he came as Big Groot, but I was just making sure because I was gonna say
he was
also.
still Teen Groot the whole time.
Well, I was just making sure.
Well, I know. I'm
Gosh.
just answering your question. Dang.
But I would just assume that he would be at least a little bigger.
Right.
Maybe he'd be
That's
like
the thing. Like it says
maybe
here.
he'd be like early adult Groot instead of Groot.
I don't know.
Slightly deeper than the I ain't Groot.
Yeah.
was a
But
good
yeah,
impression.
like it says here, it was. I'd say,
Thank you.
like with any Marvel film, details behind the plot are being kept under lock and key. But production is expected to start next month. Well, outside of that, of course.
Under lock and key until they
the-
leak the trailer, force you to put out a teaser trailer, then give us no other information on it until the movie actually comes out in 2 months.
Look, that is definitely just a Spider-Man thing. I would be shocked if that happened at least this soon after. I wouldn't be surprised if it happens later down the line, but if it happens this soon, after that happened like 2 months ago, then they really gotta step up their game because they're letting a lot of stuff.
They just
slip.
need to start firing people they can't trust.
Well,
Just
yeah, I mean,
everyone.
I'm sure that's what they're doing because like stuff like that. Like,
That dude who leaked all the Spider-Man stuff, he has to either be fired or in jail right now.
yeah, or the Marvel ninjas got to him. Usually it's
They snapped him.
I was gonna say usually it's Nintendo.
He got
that sends-
snapped.
Yeah, I was like usually it's Nintendo that sends ninjas, but I wouldn't be surprised if Marvel does as well.
They don't send ninjas. They just send people who are really good at martial arts dressed up as the Avengers.
Oh my god, that would be hilarious.
The Hawkeye one is
It would be-
silent but deadly.
I was gonna say it would be funny until then you start getting beat up by dudes in cheap costumes. Then that's not very fun.
It looks like the beginning of Homecoming.
But there's also right. But it says here that sources are saying we're saying that James Gunn and others started their lengthy search for who would play Warlock at the end of August, and how Will Poulter met along with several other actors for the parts. And of course they took time to go with that as they usually do.
Yo.
Given how excited fans were when it was first teased, and of course people thought that he would show up in character would show up in the end of the Infinity Saga. What?
DJP.
Yes.
You remember when James Gunn went on a tweet spree after, like, literally just a few weeks ago, after the end of his like press tour for Suicide Squad came out?
I believe
and
so.
he said that the Christmas special for Guardians of the Galaxy will introduce one of the greatest MCU characters of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Does this mean we could possibly get like a sneak peek of him? Because doesn't Guardians 3 come out not the next movie, but the movie after the next from the holiday special next year?
I don't know the timing, but I'm fairly certain the holiday special is coming out before the movie.
No, it is. I meant like,
Yes.
so it's holiday special, and then I think it's another movie, then Guardians 3.
Yeah, I have no idea that far out.
I could be
only
wrong.
Know, I
I
only
think it's like
know
that.
the rest of this year and the beginning of next year.
But it would be
on top of my
sick
head.
if they have a good holiday and whatnot, and then like, you know, the end of it all after whatever mayhem ensues because it's
And then
literally the Guardians of the
and then
Galaxy.
something happens at the end,
Post-credit scene.
or either that or something happens at the end, which will then lead into or be explained
Yeah.
in the next movie. I wouldn't be surprised. Although
I just want it to be a post-credit scene of Aisha like cracking open that giant egg thing, and Will Poulter just dunk onto the ground.
I'm very curious how it works because I'm not here. I'll look up real quick to refresh because I'm sure that then obviously when it comes to the looks, they don't always, at least to begin with, they don't usually go that accurate, which is fine with the MCU because their designs have been good. And nowadays we've been getting like comic accurate ones, but also made more realistic, like with Scarlet Witch at the beginning of WandaVision,
or even like Vision.
or
like,
Vision as well. Yes,
because like
they
from the
nailed his
get-go,
from the
Vision was very comic accurate, just with you know not as bright.
Yeah, not exactly. But yeah, like looking at the character, he's
The
looked
only
several different
thing-
ways. I'm just curious if they'll give him some longer flowing blonde hair.
I was gonna say the only
like,
thing that they would
I'm not
have to
sure
do
how he would
is
rock that.
have him grow out his hair,
Right, and that's if they go
or give
that
him a
way.
wig.
That too, if-
Because,
as
like,
long as-
he's already built
as long as
enough-
it looks good.
He's already built enough to be Adam Warlock because that character is more of a mythic or not mythic, cosmic character.
Yes,
Meaning his muscles don't matter because he's
Yes.
already like a well-built
because he's got a
dude.
bunch of magic powers
Yeah.
or like cosmic powers.
Yeah.
Yes,
He's already like a well-built dude too. Like you could see from Midsummer, which is literally like 4 years ago almost, or 3 years ago almost. You can easily tell that he's not scrawny like he was in We're the Millers, you know?
yeah. I am curious like how they'll make him look because I feel like he's gonna look at least somewhat close to what the Sovereign looked like, which is all goldish yellow and the metal things.
Well, here's
like
the thing.
I'm sure they could make that work, but I mean
If-
they'll go off a little bit from that.
If he's built by them, though, I wouldn't say he looks like them per se. See, the thing is in the comics, he always has the Soul Stone stuck to the middle of his forehead.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hoping that maybe it starts off like that, but maybe he can do what Vision does and like just basically absorb it into his forehead more to hide it.
Yeah.
Which, you know, Vision just appears to not have it on his forehead.
And
but
also, like the
same
Soul
thing.
Stone is doesn't exist anymore
Currently.
in the universe. So
yeah. So,
I am
you know, we may
curious.
not even have it.
yeah, and that's another thing too is that I don't expect anything direct, obviously, but the next Marvel movie coming out is Eternals, and that's taking on a whole different like aspects in the MCU that they haven't touched on before.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of like outer space and like mythical stuff as well, because I still don't know what that movie's fully entailing, which I'm fine with.
I know the gist of it.
So like there's
And I think you do too.
Right.
And so I'm just excited to see what they do.
right, and that's what I'm saying. Like because
We
we're with every movie, especially with this phase, we were branching out a lot. We've already had
Yeah.
it's
It's almost exactly what they did when we first started seeing the Guardians of the Galaxy.
right,
And you're like,
it's
wow, these
like-
are connected, but we don't know anything.
right. We don't know
Or
anything.
they don't know anything that's going on the other worlds right now.
Right, exactly, and it took a while for that. Yeah, because we're back to that stage after what feels like forever of
Yeah.
having all these new things introduced, even in some sequels, having these new things introduced, and then
And
eventually,
intertwined.
yeah, and eventually like things will become intertwined. Because again, like we were saying earlier, I wouldn't be surprised if when it comes to the plot, Adam Warlock is unleashed and goes to be like try to destroy the Guardians under command of the Sovereign, and then eventually starts to learn things himself.
Yeah, and he's like, no,
And
Mom,
then-
stop.
Exactly, but in a more dramatic way than that.
Mom, no.
So
like that?
no, but
Mom!
no, making it higher pitch doesn't make it better.
It makes it more dramatic.
It makes it more whiny than anything.
It's dramatic. Over dramatic.
I guess so.
Boom,
Also,
boom, boom.
also in some he doesn't have a staff, and in others he does, and in others he has a full Infinity Gauntlet of Infinity Stones.
Oh, yeah.
So
that was
obviously that's not going to happen.
That was I don't remember the name of it, but that was basically the second Infinity War.
Mm-hmm.
And let's just put it this way. He won.
Yeah, clearly.
No, but I think I don't know. I feel like they shouldn't make him OP like they do with a lot of characters.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was gonna say they don't really. They kind of like they make everybody in their like first appearance or like in their own movie. Like they put it in a way to where it's like it's encapsulated its own thing power wise, and then once they cross over, that's when they start to like
Balance
scale it. That's why they don't. They have every like powers and stuff like
Yeah.
when Captain Marvel came out. Like
She
they
was
had
still
other,
like
they
not
had-
OP, but they still had her at the same caliber though. The way she
Well, that's
just
true,
flew
but like,
in out of nowhere.
But yeah, like,
and do.
well, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, that was the second time we'd seen her. Though I'm saying originally they're like, oh yeah, she's pretty strong. But they make everybody make you go with every origin movie to think, oh, that person's pretty strong. And then it's not until you have them cross over the other ones where you see like where that scales. Like with Captain Marvel, she was pretty much the strongest person there.
Yeah.
But you didn't know that for sure in her own movie because that was all contained.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I'm
so
just saying this ain't his movie though. I just hope he doesn't come out of nowhere
it could
and
be,
just
though.
start murking everyone though.
that would be nuts. If
No,
they did
I'm just
that.
he may get like his own thing one day. I just meant like this is a Guardians movie.
Well, no.
So I hope he doesn't just
Well,
come out there and just
Well, I was looking at it in the way of, will this be the only movie he's in, or will he stick around?
Oh, he should. I mean,
I think
I don't
he
think
should
he
as well,
I
but-
don't think he should be a mainstay in like everything Guardians or cosmic related.
Mhm.
But I feel like
But that's the thing. I feel like
it should be like another Captain Marvel scenario in which we know that they're out there, but they have bigger things to handle than what's going on Earth.
right, they're not around all the time. Well, yeah, I was gonna say, especially
But
with
the
this,
next
this
big
being
bad,
a Guardian,
they jump up in there and they're like, "Hey,
Yeah.
Adam Warlock's here, kapow pow."
Yeah, the next big bad, which is probably Kang, is what
Who
it seems
knows,
like.
dude?
I know. I'm still. It's kind of up in the air. We won't know until
Mephisto.
like a couple. Oh my God! Don't get me. Don't get everybody started again.
I
We
said-
are going to go to break, and when we come back, we will be talking about. I guess unfortunately it's kind of ending on not a bummer, but it's going to be one of those why segments.
Yeah.
And we'll explain why when we come back on Sun's Talk Show.
7,000.
Wait, what's the bummer?
What?
What's the bummer?
That '90s show.
Okay, that's what I thought. I was just making sure.
Yeah, people watching on the.
Don't spoil it.
Say watching live on Twitch and
Y'all got lucky.
and watching on YouTube afterwards in any time from later today to a week. You'll know.
Yeah.
I don't know what this is. Oh, that's weird.
Even if
IGN's just playing random stuff in front of me.
it cannot always be night.
What?
I'm shaking the drop.
I don't know. I don't know what he's talking about.
It's a Kanye thing. You wouldn't understand.
You're right. I wouldn't.
You're not part of the Donda fan club.
Oh my God.
I'm just kidding. No one take anything I say seriously. Or no one take anything I say
I was gonna
during this
jokingly
show
say
seriously.
I was gonna jokingly say I don't, but I feel like that was gonna be rude.
That's just
So,
mean.
Yeah.
I thought we were friends. Well, it's nice knowing you all.
This is the Shut-Ins Talk Show on every Wednesday night from 6 to 7 p.m. only on WZIS Z90.7.
And we're back with the Shut-Ins Talk Show. So here's our big, something that happens, I don't want to say too often, but it's happening more often these days, where we have an announcement of something being made, and my first reaction is, why?
Yeah.
Because it was recently announced over this past week. Let me check specifically. This was brought up last Friday, is when I think it was announced. Or, yeah, Friday or last Thursday. So, sure enough, after Shut-Ins airs, because that's just our luck.
Yeah.
It was announced that That 90s Show would be happening. As in a spin-off or sequel series, I don't know which, of That 70s Show.
Yeah.
And for those of you who are unaware, they already tried this before. They tried to make a That's 80s Show, and which actually starred Glenn Howerton, who you may know as Dennis on Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. But that show went on for, I believe, a season,
If
and
that-
nobody talks about it or acknowledges it because it's not good.
I'll give you this. Why? That's our main.
Yes.
That's our main thing from it. 'Cause,
Why? And
they
then
haven't given us
secondly,
Moach.
Yes. Why?
Moach.
And yeah,
Moach.
yeah. The two main
English.
questions: why, and followed by who asked for this.
Yeah.
Followed by who is this for?
Exactly. But at the same time, I will give them one thing though. They tried That 80s Show so fast.
That is true. That's another problem.
Like they
tried
really
it too
tried.
soon.
They were like, "Oh, this is great.
Especially
People love That 70s Show." Blah blah blah.
Well, that's the thing. They said that, but also that 70s Show ended on a dud because Eric had left, because Topher Grace had left. They replaced him with Randy. Randy was awful. The show died.
Yeah.
That was the whole thing.
Yeah, but then they tried to start a new show to get more followers quickly.
Yeah, and they did it-
because they
yeah.
knew that it was a dud.
Yeah, because they did it too soon, and people were already turned away from it because of how poorly the series ended.
Exactly.
So
But
that was
I will
a
give them
bad
credit for this
compilation.
though, because they've given it a decent amount of time since they've tried to do it again.
And I think they do have more info here that I'm about to read. So it says, That 90s Show, a spinoff of That 70s Show, is officially in development at Netflix with Kurtwood Smith and Deborah Jo Rupp reprising their roles as Red and Kitty Foreman respectively.
Yeah.
Respectively. So that's a fairly good sign because they're fantastic.
Yeah, because they had no one related to the actual That 70s Show and That 80s Show.
I said That 80s Show was just its own thing,
Yeah,
but
they
it
tried
was
new
like
characters with it.
Yeah, everything was new. There was nothing similar outside of the name. But it says the show will be set in 1995 and will tell the story of Leah Foreman, daughter of Eric and Donna, who is visiting Red and Kitty for the summer.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Depending on how old she is, because like I don't want That 90s Show to be like about a little kid, you know? Like that's not
Yeah.
fair to the original show. At least
well,
put
well, I
her
was
in
gonna
high
say
school, you know?
I was say if you're gonna have a sequel series to a show, to try to get the same feeling of it, it definitely has to be. It may not has to be, but it has to be similar and usually like. Yeah, so but because
Yeah.
I'm thinking like, well, I guess it's That 70s Show. She could be like an adult daughter, But visiting, that's all I'm gonna say. Who is this for? Why is it being made? We don't know. But at the very least, there's some hope for some good content.
Yeah, I was about to say,
with Kitty and Red, period, because
And-
they are incredible and they can do no wrong.
Yeah, and you never know. Like Topher Grace could make a cameo.
What's the thing? As of now, those are the only two castings, and they say like also it's funny that their daughter they what's interesting too. I just realized is that I remember like Eric was back at the end of That 70s Show
At the very,
like,
very end,
At the
yeah.
very end, he was back, and then it just sort of implies everything else is just like you don't know because the
Yeah.
series ended. But the fact that they're already straight up saying, yeah, Eric and Donna presumably got married and had a daughter, and the daughter's name's Leia, like Princess Leia, which is hilarious. That's Eric actually got Donna to do something with Star Wars after
Yeah.
all the denial.
Yeah,
after
after
denying to dress up as her
Almost
in that one
every
episode.
single season, that would be a main thing for him.
Yeah, so that's already funny in itself. So that gives me some
And you
hope
called
or
her
something.
Leah, and you call yourself a Star Wars fan.
Well, because I just read through
this is my show now.
that was the first time I had read
I
it,
own this.
and I forgot. I didn't know. Again, we're talking about how we don't know what this is.
Wait,
I didn't know what that was.
How
for
do
a
they
second.
spell it?
It's spelled
Properly?
like Princess Leia. Yes.
Yeah, I've never seen a Leah spelled that way.
Okay, well, you didn't correct me, so whatever.
I wasn't
figured
reading
out.
it.
Anyways,
My
that's
computer
70s.
died like an hour ago.
You're just telling me this now.
Well, I know the things. I memorized
Okay,
it all.
that's okay. don't quote him on that. That 70s show
did.
creators, Bonnie Turner and Terry Turner, are joining the project as executive producers.
Oh my gosh.
And Greg Metler, who worked on the original, will serve as the showrunner, and they have ordered 10 episodes of the show. So this is giving me more hope the more I'm reading into it, which is good. So again, I'll try not to judge it too early, but I will also say, in the past on this show, over the last year specifically, since Gavin and I have been doing it, there have been times where we find something to talk about, we ask why, and who is this for, and then they start to come out, or we start to hear more about
we
it.
secretly love it.
And no, it ends up being like, okay, that was mediocre,
garbage.
or this is garbage. Like, we thought that with Cruella, and that was whatever.
Yeah.
We thought that with the Powerpuff Girls show, and that's been a dumpster fire behind the scenes, and nothing's even been
Oh, I was about to say,
completed
has
yet.
it been out?
No,
Yeah,
no.
that's what I was going
I
to
was
say.
gonna say, because then those plot leaks came out, and everybody was like, wow, this is bad. They turned out
Hey.
to be real. They had to redo them, and reshoot, and they lost one of the main actors, all within, like, this last summer.
Wow,
Or
that's
earlier
crazy.
this year.
Give Cruella a little bit of credit for me,
Well,
please.
I wasn't saying that one was that bad, but it was still was like...
that one wasn't even like bad. It
Yeah, it was just-
performed well.
Mhm.
It's still making money through how much streams it gets on Disney Plus. But I will agree with you. Why? Because
Yeah, because
even though
no
it
one asked
performed
for that.
well.
Yeah, even though it did well and people were interested in it,
it just
from the
can't go in
beginning,
the
it was like, why is this being made?
it just can't go in the bad category, no matter how bitter pessimists we are.
Well, I was just saying, like, there's a lot of stuff we talked about where it's like, because that's a lot of things too that we talked about,
Yeah.
saying why and who's this for, because it's usually all nostalgia
Yo.
baits, and I would say 50-50, but I feel like that's too generous
All
on
I'm
whether
saying
it's
is-
actually decent or not.
I'm gonna give Bonnie and Terry some credit here because I completely forgot. I don't know how, but I forgot. I was gonna ask, like, hey, are Bonnie and Terry Turner, are they the ones bringing it back or what? Because a lot, like, two of my favorite shows of all time were created by them, and that's That 70s Show
Yeah.
and Third Rock from the Sun.
Oh, I didn't realize they did that
And
as well.
John Lithgow, or John Lithgow, however you pronounce it, he said that he would like to do a follow-up series of sorts for Third Rock from the Sun, like similar to like a sequel series, and just to kind of see what they would think of how Earth would be modern time.
Right.
And Bonnie, or maybe it wasn't them, maybe it was like their company that they work for, whatever, the pictures company.
Yeah.
Studio, that's the word I was looking for, not
Yeah.
pictures company.
Is that where you
But
80?
apparently they were like, hell yeah, and they still haven't gotten to it.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I see.
But
I
that's
feel like,
okay. That takes time,
I was gonna say,
especially since Joseph Gordon-Levitt is a superstar nowadays.
Right, and so they can give some background here as well, where it's like the original debuted in 1998 and ran for 8 seasons until ending 2006, and the stars such as Ashton Kutcher, Mila Kunis, and Topher Grace hanging out in Foreman's basement. As it also makes mention here, there's no words on the rest of the cast for that 90s show, including if any of the original characters will return in guest appearances. I think maybe like a joke guest appearance, maybe.
I was gonna say, it'd be really
that
funny.
only people that went and suffered through that show would get.
Yeah.
Although if Glenn Howerton shows up, I will be very happy.
You know what would be
funny.
really funny though? If on the first episode, Fez is just down in the basement on the couch, like, where did everyone go? Almost over 20 years
that's
later.
the thing, and because we don't know who all. I feel like if anybody will return, it'll be like an episode or two apiece. I would be surprised
And not
if they
even
got
a full
everybody.
episode.
Yeah, I mean, I think they got maybe a full episode, but
A.
I don't know if they'll. I don't think because I think they want it to be like obviously like playing off of that because it is a sequel series.
Yeah, but they
But they don't
have
want it to be completely reliant.
Yeah, not
on the
every
original
episode
stars.
should be a cameo guest star from an original
Or
character.
or if they do, not focused on them.
Yeah.
Whatever,
They just show
like,
up,
yeah.
maybe help out, and then that's it.
Because it says here, like we've been talking about,
I'm bad
It's not.
at-
It's not their first attempt at a spinoff. Because during, I didn't realize this too. It was during that '70s show original run. It was at the same time too. It wasn't even after. I didn't even think about that. That '80s show launched and ran for only 13 episodes. So hey, they've only ordered 10 of that '90s show. So
But also,
maybe
it's
that'll-
Netflix, though.
That is true. But also, I mean, they ordered 13 episodes. That's an unlucky number. They were asking for it. That's all I'm saying.
13's my lucky number, but
Okay.
no one else do it.
Okay, that'll jinx it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
But
this is giving me some hope upon further inspection.
I was going to say, why can't I remember his name?
Whose name?
The curly-headed one.
From what? I don't know what you're
That
alluding
70s
to.
show.
Curly-headed.
So there was Fez,
Yes.
Kelso,
Yes.
Jackie,
Yes.
Donna,
Yes.
Eric,
And then Hyde.
Hyde. Okay, that's his name.
But
I couldn't remember his name in the show.
Right.
But him and Ashton Kutcher did The Ranch together.
That's true. But also,
And so I feel like they would be down to do something
yes,
for this also.
but things are not great in the realm of the guy who played Hyde, whose name escapes me, because some very not good things were revealed about him over the last couple years, and he's kind of out of there, and we're not messing with that.
Well, I just meant like that's just proof that like at least Ashton now would be down to come back for at least a cameo.
I would say I'm sure they all would.
Him and Jackie should just. They're literally married in real life. Him and Jackie should just be the next door neighbors. Yeah, just to be funny.
Well, that would be funny. Although, actually, that would be hilarious because I think Red's absolute nightmare would be if Kelso never left his life and was still there.
Yeah,
it would be like the new Bob for him. It would be his work. The only person he hates more than Bob is Kelso.
Yeah.
So that would be.
Oh
hilarious.
my gosh! It just clicked. Scrubs, the head doctor or the chief of medicine. His name is Bob Kelso.
Oh, is it really?
I forget his name. Sorry, Scrubs creator. He was a huge That 70s Show fan.
Okay, that makes sense.
Oh my gosh.
Well, you're welcome for having that brain blast moment
brain hurt.
live.
Hurt brain. Ow.
But yeah, once again, so obviously we probably won't be getting this for a while. I mean, it is Netflix. They seem to
Give it now.
be able to churn things out, but
hey, I will say
I'm still wondering who this is for, but from what they're saying now,
I'd say it's just for fans of the original.
Well, I mean, yeah, but they tried to do a spinoff before and that failed tragically, and the show ended
My thing is,
not great either. But I'm saying, like, this is giving me high hopes, which is things...
I was going to say, that 90s show, like, they could even do that 2000s show. Like, it's been 21 years since the 2000s.
Well, that's not how that... It's been 11 years.
Well, that's what I meant to say. I'm out of it.
I was say it's been 21 years since 2000.
Well, that's what I meant.
The beginning of 2000s.
You know what I mean. Head hurt, ouch. But my point is, like, even if they did it that way, anything is better than going just 10 years away.
That is fair.
Because that's essentially trying to make another show with a brand new cast of characters at the same time as a show that took place 10 years before. And if it's going to be that close in time, you might as well just be doing the same characters and what they're doing 10 years later.
Right. And so we don't know. We'll see a lot. But like I said before, I know we've seen like kind of negative on things like kind of this more nostalgia bait seeming stuff in the past. But this is the first one in a while that has given me some hope for it.
And sorry for the bad math.
Yeah, we're not good at math here. I'm surely not.
I'm surprised you caught on that quick, and that's not even being.
I am
That's because
too.
me and you get stumped with math problems.
Yeah, exactly. So we are gonna call it there. Thank you so much for listening, and for those on Twitch or watching in the future on YouTube, thank you for that. We'll be back again next week as usual. So once again, this has been the Shut-Ins Talk Show. I've been Jacob Pickett,
And I've been Gavin Cook,
and we'll see you all next time. All right.
Well,
This has been the Shut-Ins
The
Talk
video's
Show.
been
Be sure to tune
frozen
in every
on
Wednesday
Twitch
night
for a
from
minute.
6
I
to
didn't
7
know if it
p.m.
was-
only on
I was gonna say that
WZIS.
the video seems to be stuck on Twitch. Which
we
is not
still love
fun.
you very much, though, Twitch.
Yeah, I'm not sure why the camera has stopped or when that happened. So,
Oh, is this Fergalicious?
I mean, this is an ID. Okay, Twitch, you can't see me waving, and I don't even know if it's working, but
We're
goodbye.
still live, though.
I
so
know. That's what I'm
cool.
saying. Like that's good. So, bye bye.